Sup, you beautiful bastards. Hope you're having a fantastic Tuesday. Welcome back to the Philip DeFranco Show, and let's just jump into it. And the first thing I want to talk about today is this craziness around ESPN, Sam Ponder, and Barstool Sports. ESPN, of course, covers sports. Sam Ponder works for ESPN, and Barstool Sports, if I was to summarize it, it's a sports-heavy bro network / site. And recently, surprising many, ESPN partnered with Barstool Sports to create a television show based on their podcast, Pardon My Take. And the reason many people were surprised is that ESPN and Barstool Sports just have two different feels. It feels like ESPN is trying to bend over backwards to avoid any controversy, whereas Barstool Sports kind of lives there and loves it. You know, ESPN suspending Jemele Hill for statements she's making on her Twitter. Barstool Sports is going to tell you to go fuck your mother, but only if you're into fat chicks. Not my word, just trying to convey the difference between the two brands, the oil and vinegar-ness, if you will. Now that said, of course, ESPN is a very large company, many different people with many different opinions. There were reports internally that there was a lot of pushback from some people, but still the project moved forward despite criticism internally and in the public. That then brings us to October 16th. Sam Ponder, who works for ESPN, hosts Sunday NFL Countdown, tweets, "Welcome to the ESPN family at Barstool Big Cat, and welcome to all your minions who will respond to this so kindly." And along with this tweet, she included two screenshots from Barstool Sports that read, "Editor's note, I know Fate's blogged this already, but I wrote it up too because I'm fired the fuck up. Fuck Sam Ponder, that Bible-thumping freak. Seriously, you sound like a KO Barstool freak, not a chick that has a job where the number one requirement is you make men hard. So give it a rest with your righteous indignation. Your entire career and livelihood is based on appealing to guys like me and blogs like ours. Bottom line is guys thinking chicks are hot is natural. It's Darwinism. It's never gonna change. But that doesn't mean we don't respect women and think it's okay to hit a woman. I have no idea what's so confusing about that. Go fuck yourself." In response to this quote, Big Cat tweeted, "Hey Sam, thanks for the welcome. I just want to clear one thing up. I didn't write this blog post. You make it seem like I did. And the rundown you reference, I actually defended you." Later adding, "I honestly think you have me confused for my boss Dave here. Have a nice night as well." Sam Ponder then publicly tweets, "I was wrong in thinking at Barstool Big Cat wrote that article and called me a slut repeatedly. He just continuously laughed along. It was the president of Barstool Sports who said these things. Happy to clarify." Now for those of you wondering what she's talking about here, there's audio that I could no longer find on the Barstool site, but because the internet is the internet and it is forever, there's audio where you have the founder of Barstool Sports, Dave Portnoy, saying this.
"I know for a fact that every day at ESPN, all the suits and all the lawyers, they have their annual, or not annual, their daily 9:15 coffee meeting on how can we fire Sam Ponder without being sued for like discrimination. Because she's the worst. No person who watches Game Day wants to see a picture of her and her ugly kid. Nobody cares, Sam Ponder. We want to see you sex it up and be slutty and not be some prude fucking jerk who everybody hates. And Sam Ponder, you fucking slut. I don't want you at these games being super prude and talking about God and religion and how your kid is like so awesome and breastfeeding when I'm watching Game Day. I don't want that."
Now, another thing we're seeing on the tail end of this story are people coming out saying Sam Ponder is a hypocrite. The general idea being that she's using something from Barstool's past against them in the now. And people have been providing examples of when Sam Ponder has not been fantastic in the past. Some even shared by Dave Portnoy. Sam Ponder writes, "Watching the Lakers in the finals is like watching the slutty girl win best looking in high school. She probably deserves it, but ew. None of the inner city kids I'm friends with have swimming trophies, smiley face, hashtag pools in the hood. Today's lessons, for me, Zimbabwean men like fat girls, yes fat. Winters are cold. For them, white girls don't wear weaves, pull it." Comedian and actress Jen Sturger also speaking out, saying that ESPN are being hypocrites here. She shares a story about when she was testing with ESPN. She was put in an awkward situation with a lot of guys, sharing really troubling experiences she had with ESPN staff, noting, "I hate how Barstool Sports treats women, but the other side is just as bad." Now, in response to all of this, Burke Magnus, an ESPN executive, said in a statement, "The comments about Sam Ponder were offensive and inappropriate, and we understand her reaction. She is a valued colleague and doing a great job for us. As stated previously, we do not control the content of Barstool Sports. We are doing a show with Big Cat and PFT, and we do have final say on the content of that show. But still, in the face of all this criticism, Barstool Van Talk premieres on ESPN2 at 1 a.m. It reportedly gets around 88,000 viewers. But then yesterday, ESPN announces that they are canceling the show. ESPN President John Skipper releasing a statement saying, "Effective immediately, I am canceling Barstool Van Talk. While we had approval on the content of the show, I erred in assuming we could distance our efforts from the Barstool site and its content. Apart from this decision, we appreciate the the efforts of Big Cat and PFT commenter. They delivered the show they promised. And in response to this, Dave Portnoy held an emergency press conference, and in a video he said,
"Because I actually get why ESPN canceled the show. The executives there were put in a box. Sam Ponder, I'm not even really mad about her tweet. That was a grudge move. We attacked her. She waited for 3 years to drop revenge on our heads the night before. And she got accomplished what she wanted to get accomplished. She got the show canceled. ESPN needed us more than we need them. That everybody's saying ESPN's not cool. No one's paying attention to ESPN. They're all paying attention to the Barstools of the world. Why? Because we're authentic, and issues like this don't happen. They got pushed around. Anybody who thinks the ESPN executives want to cancel this show are nuts. They're a Walt Disney company. They got to cater to what all the complaints and the few say. We do not. We will not. This is not a first controversy. John Skipper saying he thought he could distance himself from Barstool. Don't know what that means. You hired Barstool. The deal was with Barstool. The reason you needed us is because we're Barstool. That's why this audience exists. And it's not going anywhere. And all this does is just reinforce the very reason we're the fastest growing media company in the world.
And here's the thing, you can say what you want about Barstool Sports. You can have a problem with Barstool Sports, but what Dave Portnoy says here is true. The big mainstream brands of the world need big online creators more than we need them. Whether it's a Barstool or obviously you can have your opinions on like a Jake Paul. The exposure on Disney may have helped him initially, but near the end, when he left, he didn't need them. His Disney show viewership was eclipsed by his online views and audience. And I say that while also acknowledging that I feel that Jake Paul is the embodiment of most of the douchey things we see online. And also on that John Skipper note, the president of ESPN thought, quote, "We could distance our efforts from the Barstool site and its content." This is a fantastic example of a very large company wanting your viewers, but not wanting you. I've experienced this in the past. You have a very big new sponsor. They're so excited. Then you release a video that's just like all your other ones, and they're like, "What the fuck is that? You're talking about that in the video?" And then you just end up looking at them dumbfounded saying, "Yes, this is what you signed up for." That's like sponsoring or partnering up with the UFC and then losing your damn mind because people are punching and kicking each other. So for me, the president of ESPN's statement essentially reads, "We wanted the value that you get from authenticity, but none of the negative." That's just not how it works. But all of that said, I do want to pass the question off to you. What is your takeaway from this situation? Do you think Sam Ponder and or ESPN are being hypocritical here? Do you think ESPN's crazy for even thinking this could have worked? It just seems so bizarre and stupid that you thought people might not be that angry or care about what they've done on their own site. Like because the show was on ESPN, it was in a safe space. But that said, enough from me. I'd love to know your thoughts here. And then let's talk about this crazy story coming out of Portugal. It all starts in 2015 where a man beat his ex-wife with a baseball bat covered in nails. And the man said the reason for this beating was that she cheated on him. Now, unsurprisingly, the man was found guilty of the crime, but surprisingly, he was given just a 15-month suspended sentence and a $2,000 fine. So the prosecutor appeals the decision, asking instead for 3 years and 6 months in jail, but the Porto Court of Appeals denies this appeal. In their ruling, Judges Neto de Moura and Maria Luisa Arante showed sympathy towards the man, saying that a woman's adultery is, quote, "a very serious offense against a man's honor and dignity." The ruling then said that the Bible's punishment for an adulterous woman was death. They also cited an 1886 Portuguese law that gives symbolic sentences to men who killed their wives for suspected adultery. And the judges said that they use these examples to, quote, "stress that a woman's adultery amounts to conduct which society has always condemned and condemned very strongly." And as you'd expect, there has been a lot of outrage from women's rights groups as well as just the general public. But Portugal's Superior Magistrates Court said that they have seen vivid criticism from broad sections of public opinion, saying even when the judges make comments that are archaic, inappropriate, or unfortunate, they cannot interfere. Now that said, the situation's not completely over. This decision can be appealed, but it is also sad that this is going to have to be argued. You're talking about a man who beat a woman with a baseball bat with nails in it. He used a weapon on his ex-wife that is usually reserved for horror, zombie movies, and the reason for his light sentence was, but the Bible though. I'm not a religious person. I'm not completely sold on the idea of a higher power, even though when I get on an airplane, I do one of these last second things because I got 14 years of Catholic guilt built into me. Shout out to the nuns of St. Philip Neri in New York. But in general, I don't have a problem with religion because most people look at religion and they go, yeah, don't kill people, love thy neighbor, not perfect, try to be better. But the Bible should not be used in reference to legal precedent. There shouldn't be judges in this world that go, we looked at all the facts in this case. We looked at the context of the entire situation. Also, he looked back to biblical law where you could kill an adulterous woman, and that deeply affected our decision. That is insane. That is using the Bible to legitimize and justify domestic violence. But also, hey, that's just my opinion. Maybe I'm somehow the crazy one. Maybe you think the Bible should be used as legal precedent. Why not? Let me know what you're feeling in those comments down below. Also, while you're at it, feel free to hit that unsubscribe button. Then in sexual harassment news, let's talk about Terry Richardson. Terry Richardson, if you don't know, famed celebrity photographer. He's worked with the likes of Kate Upton, Miley Cyrus, Selena Gomez. But the news today is that Terry Richardson has been banned from working with some of the top magazines in the world. This including Vanity Fair, GQ, Vogue. Recently, with all this Harvey Weinstein news blowing up, I've seen people referring to Terry Richardson as the Harvey Weinstein of photography. There have been allegations of sexual harassment and assault against him for years. And the thing is, looking at the situation, it shouldn't really be surprising to anyone that has been paying attention. Terry Richardson has not been shy about this part of his life. 10 years ago, Terry Richardson, in an interview, says, "Like I've always said, it's not who you know, it's who you blow. I don't have a hole in my jeans for nothing." And there were several models throughout the years that claimed that Terry Richardson tried to exchange sex for photography. Others claiming he tried to do sex acts on them or get them to do sex acts to him during shoots. Back in 2012, Scott LaRue Willis, Bruce Willis's daughter, tweeted publicly about it, saying, "Last night, Terry Richardson tried to finger me. I didn't let him, obviously, but I did let him photograph me topless in the bathroom." But all of that said, according to an email that was obtained by The Telegraph, Executive Vice President of Condé Nast International James Woolhouse wrote an email that read, "I am writing to you on an important matter. Condé Nast would like to no longer work with the photographer Terry Richardson," adding that the work commission for Richardson should be, quote, "killed and substituted with other material." And in response to this story coming out, a representative for Richardson said, "Terry is disappointed to hear about the email, especially because he has previously addressed these old stories. He's an artist who has been known for his sexually explicit work, so many of his professional interactions with subjects were sexual and explicit in nature, but all of the subjects of his work participated consensually." And so without saying what Terry Richardson did or did not do, the question once again becomes, is this actually promoting change? Thanks to the Harvey Weinstein situation, is this a moment in time where industries are looking inward at the things that they have looked away from? Is this the beginning of many changes that eventually change what the ecosystem as a whole looks like, or are we just seeing a few sacrificial lambs that we slaughter? And then the industry gets to pat itself on the back and go, "We did good, you guys. Everything's fixed now. Let's go back to business as usual." Personally, I feel like it's a little bit of both, but hopefully what we do see is eventual change. And that's actually where I'm going to end today's show. And remember, if you like this video, you like what I try and do on this channel, hit that like button. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. It helps make sure you don't miss these daily videos, which actually, if you did miss yesterday's Philip DeFranco show, you want to catch up, click or tap right there to watch that. Or if you want to see the newest behind the scenes vlog, click or tap right there to watch that. But that said, of course, as always, my name's Philip DeFranco. You've just been filled in. I love yo faces, and I'll see you tomorrow.